What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today I'm coming in with Rehab Part 3. Hope you guys do enjoy this video. Drop a like if you do, and also I want to mention real quick, send me some mail, guys. I really want to do a mail opening video. Send me whatever the fuck you want. If you want to send me hella dildos, I'm not gonna stop you, but either way, yeah, really interested in doing a mail video, so just wanted to mention that real quick at the beginning of this video. Also, ask me more questions using the hashtag AskGoblin in the comment section below. Like I mentioned in a previous little update video, going to be doing the Q&As more frequently, so I need more questions from you guys, so ask away. But anyways, hope you guys do enjoy this video, and let's dive into it. So, Rehab Part 3. Now, where I left off in the last one, I kind of talked about my first day in the psych ward and how it went and the kid shitting on the floor and all those shenanigans. Now, I'm going to kind of skip over the rest of my stay in the psych ward because it's really boring. Like, I'm not going to lie, if I just talked about that for the rest of this video, it would be really, really shitty and it would not be enjoyable. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to skip over that part. So where we're going to go to now is my last day in the psych ward when I discharged and drove up to residential. So this was on November 6th. I remember this date very clearly. I remember it like, let's see, what's really clear, but something really clear. I remember it like crystal water from the Appalachian Mountains, all right? That's how clearly I remember it. I don't even know if that's a thing, but either way. So I remembered it very clearly. So I got discharged around like 8 a.m. and we had a 7.5-hour drive. Now, normally when you go to residential, a lot of times people from the facility will send out like some dude in a van to come pick you up. Now, this residential gave me the option of having my parents take me, which of course I was like, fuck yeah, I don't want to ride with some random dude and no phone for like 8 hours. So my mom comes and picks me up, and before I went to residential, I asked her if we could stop at home real quick so I could take a real shower, because in the psych ward, the showers are shit, the shampoo and body wash are garbage, it's literally like soap water, they don't let you bring your own like bathroom stuff, and it's just horrible. So I felt filthy. I felt like I hadn't showered the whole week. Like, it was awful. I was showering like 3 times a day in that bitch, and I still felt filthy. So I went back home, took a shower, and let me tell you guys, I was in there for 8 days, the psych ward at least, and I had no porn for 8 days. I had no women for 8 days. Nothing. None, zip, nada. I busted the biggest nut of my career. Let me tell you, I fucking Pornhub, baby. It went nuts. But anyways, not going to get too detailed on that. So take my shower, do my thing. Then I get out, I'm ready to go, hop back in the car, and we're off. We're setting off on our journey, our conquest. So we're driving for a couple hours and we get to our first rest stop. And, I'm looking around. I mean, I have to go to the bathroom. I really had to rock a piss, so I did. I was looking around to see if anyone could bum me a cigarette. And, we were in the state of Wisconsin at this point. I went all the way up to Minnesota for rehab. And in Wisconsin, the whole state is basically composed of angry, fat, old Packers fans. So none of them really had any cigarettes to bum because they all looked like they had been long dying of lung cancer. So I was like, all right, whatever, screw it. Back to the car. I was really fiending for a square, but I didn't get one. It's whatever. So I get back in the car, we're driving a little bit longer, and I didn't know this, but we drive by, we stop for lunch, and we go through a McDonald's drive-thru, and there's this item on the menu that's not very familiar to me. So apparently in the state of Wisconsin, they have this, like, this bratwurst thing. It's kind of weird. They have this little, like, it's like a bratwurst hot dog. It's really weird. So I was like, it didn't even sound good to me at the time, but I was like, well, I'm probably not going to be in the state again for a long time, so I might as well fucking try this. So of course, I order, I'm like, yep, slip me that bratwurst thing, let me try that. And then I also, as a backup, I ordered a Big Mac, because, like, I knew this thing was going to be shitty. I just knew it. Whenever there's, like, a select item that's only available in certain places and it's not, like, national, usually it's shit. So, anyways, I ordered it and I get this thing. And let me tell you guys, this old gray-ass bratwurst, old fucking Roger from American Dad, dick-looking bratwurst, piece of shit on a bun with mustard and ketchup. I take a bite. Most fucking repulsive thing I've ever gotten from a fast food place ever. And I'm not kidding. This was disgusting. Like, I don't know whose idea this was, but it was awful. That bratwurst just sums up the state of Wisconsin. It sucks. So, I take my first bite, and let me tell you guys, to describe how bad this is, it would have tasted better if, like, post UFC fight, Brock Lesnar, sweaty as hell, just spread his ass cheeks, and I just shoved it up there and twirled it around for a minute, and then I pulled it out. That would have added better flavor than the bratwurst had already. It was awful, just to give you guys an idea. So anyways, I throw that bitch out. I take one bite, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not folding, so I'm smacking on that Big Mac. The rest of the ride's pretty normal. I'm just sitting there on my phone, Snapchatting, tweeting, all that stuff, just letting you guys know where I'm going to be, checking up on my Snapchat, checking up on my text, hitting up the people that I need to hit up, just doing all that, because when I went into the psych ward, I didn't get a chance to really tell anyone where the fuck I was going. So at this point, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be gone for a lot longer than this 8 days. I'm going to catch y'all in a month. And they told me that I was only going to be in residential for 28 days. It's a 28-day program. Let me tell you guys, if you didn't already, that's not how it happened. But I'll explain that later. That was because of my shenanigans. But either way, so we're riding in the car, we're booling, we're cool. And finally, after a long drive, my back hurts like hell, we get to the residential. So I hop out the car, Mom hops out the car, I say my goodbyes to my phone. I put my phone back in the car, and I'm sad as hell. I'm like, fuck, man, I probably should have just not used my phone at all to tease myself like that. But glad I did either way. So I go inside, front desk dude is like, oh, have a seat in this waiting room. He leads us to this waiting room. We sit down, me and my mom, we're just sitting there talking for maybe 15 minutes. And finally, excuse me, I'm about to cough. Oh, gosh. I just burped a little bit too. That was weird. But either way, so anyways, this guy comes up, and his name is Tim. He's this worker there, and he's like, hi, I just need to talk to you two separately, and then I'm going to search your bag. So he talks to my mom first, I don't know what about, and then he comes back out with her. She sits down in the room, and he pulls me aside and talks to me. He basically just asks me, if I'm looking forward to being here. Of course, I'm a finesser. I'm like, yes, I'm really looking forward to this. I love residential treatment. Hell fucking yeah, baby. Hell yeah. You know how I'm rocking. But it's not how I really felt. Just ask me some very simple questions. It only took 5 minutes. I don't know why he was with my mom for so long. He was with my mom for a solid 20 minutes. Maybe it just felt like 20 minutes, but it was a long time. So either way, finally he's done talking to both of us. He's like, all right, you two can say your goodbyes. We're going to take it from here. So, I hug my mom. I'm like, doses. And she leaves. And Tim is like, all right, follow me. We're just going to search your bags and then check your pockets. So first thing they do is they check my pockets. He makes me empty out my pockets, all of them, pull my pockets inside out. And they don't really check you very thoroughly. I realized at this point how easily I could have snuck drugs in. Or anything really. How easily I could have snuck like a fucking gun in this bitch. They don't touch you. They don't pat you down. They don't do the whole squat and cough thing like they did to me in the psych ward. They don't do that. They literally just tell you to pull your pockets inside out, and then on the outside, if you have hoodie pockets that can't be pulled inside out, just pat them so they can hear there's nothing in them. So I could have had a fucking sheet of acid in my pocket, and the dude would have never known. And on top of that, I had basketball shorts on under my pants. So they didn't check my waistband. They're supposed to, I learned later on. Found that out the hard way when I tried to sneak Playboys in, but I'll explain that later. But he, didn't check my waistband, didn't really search me very thoroughly, and he's like, all right, now we're going to do your intake process. This will just take a little bit. It'll take maybe an hour. So I'm like, all right, bet. So he's like, we're just going to leave your bags behind here, and I'll come back after I take you to the intake and search your bags personally. And I'm like, all right, cool. So they lead me to this guy's office, and let me tell you guys, I walk in this dude's office. I don't know his name. There's some really long, hard to say name. This guy looks like a Nigerian prince. This dude, he's this black guy in this all orange suede suit. Okay, very styling right now. He's got this all gold big ass watch. He's got these sunglasses on his desk. These really nice designer sunglasses. I don't know where they were from. I didn't see the brand. And then on his his desk, pinned to the little tack board he had or whatever it's called, he had just pictures of himself in different solid colored suits. He had himself in a light blue suit, he had himself in a purple suit with his homie. This guy was just a meme. It was funny as hell. And this is the only time I ever interacted or saw this guy after this. But anyways, so I'm sitting there in his office just trying not to laugh because this guy's just hilarious. This guy's just a walking, breathing meme. When you picture, I'm trying to think of someone to compare him to. When you just think of a Nigerian prince, you would probably think of this guy. Like, this guy would probably come to your head. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, he's talking to me and he's like, oh, I just need you to fill out some paperwork. Not much entertaining stuff. He has a super fucking thick accent. Like, I can tell he was either raised in a family that doesn't speak our language or has super thick accents, or he wasn't born here. Like, one of the two. His accent was nuts. Like, it was so hard to understand. So I kept just saying yes to things, just pretending I knew what the fuck he was saying and like trying to follow his like hand gestures to understand like what he was getting at. Didn't work very well. He probably thought I was dumb as shit. Like, just, we did not have a very strong conversation because I just couldn't pick up what this guy was laying down. So finally finished the paperwork in there. I'm done. It takes me like 45 minutes in that office. I'm like, all right, am I done? Am I good? They're like, oh, now you're just going to go see the nurse for a quick checkup. So I'm like, okay. So go over to the nurse. Nurse pulls me into his office. And there's just a lot of characters at this fucking place. The nurse is this remarkably flamboyant guy, okay? He's got, like, pitch white hair. But you can tell that, like, his hair isn't graying. You can tell. He just dyed it pitch white. He's got his eyebrows done. Eyebrows on fucking fleek, dude. This guy's eyebrows went nuts. And he was just, like, the way he stood, the way he, like, when he would stand up and talk to someone, he put his hand on his hip and do the little sassy lean, I'm talking about. Like, you could tell this guy was very flamboyant. So I'm sitting across from him in his office, and he's like, all right, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, and we're just going to fill this out real quick. Shouldn't take too long. So he started asking me all the questions about my drug use, my history, how much of drugs I would do, how often I would do them, when I did them, just everything about why I'm there, and then some, like other side questions for them to, like, know me better and shit. This ended up taking like an hour and a half, damn near 2 hours. Now, they told me this shit was going to be an hour. They finessed the fuck out of me. They did me dirty as hell. So I get out of his office finally, and he pulls me into like the little, like, when I say office, I don't mean like a little nurse's area with like the bed you lay on and like the vital machine. I mean like a literal office with a desk and a computer. So then he pulls me into the little like nurse's room next to there where the bed and the vital stuff and all the nursey stuff is. Sits me down. He's just like, all right, we're just gonna take your vitals real quick, take your blood pressure, and then we're gonna weigh you, see how tall you are, all this kind of stuff. Excuse me. So I'm like, all right. So he does that. It doesn't take too long, maybe like 10 minutes. And while I'm sitting in here, I don't know why I have such bad luck with like the first day in treatment, just someone does something gross and like wide open for everyone to see. But I'm sitting there, right? And I'm facing the door. The door's wide open. All of a sudden I hear like someone's puking. And all of a sudden this employee who I never found out who he was, but this employee comes in through the door and he's like, we have a girl from the other unit who just threw up in the hallway. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what's happening? And the flamboyant nurse who's like doing my vitals and stuff, he's like, all right, well, we're gonna have to make this quick so I can see her. So, he just finishes doing my shit super quick and sends me on my way. He's like, all right, now you're done. Now we're going to send you down to the medical unit. Now, this area, like this little nurse's office I was in, wasn't on the medical unit. They had a whole wing of the building that was for like the medical unit. They called it MSU. And he was like, all right, this little nurse's area was directly past like the main doors to get into like the treatment area, like where the residential people were. So I'm like, all right, where's that? And he's like, just go left all the way down, just all the fucking way down. So I'm like, all right. So at this point, I'm walking down there, and I'm just looking around, and I'm just like, holy fuck, like, I'm really gonna be in here for 28 fucking days. Like, holy shit. There's other dudes walking by, dudes looking kind of funky, some guy who's wearing Bape every fucking day. What a piece of shit. Just a weird assortment of people in this place. So I finally get down to the MSU. It was quite the hike. And I get down there and I go over to like the front desk and I'm like, yeah, I was sent here by that flamboyant nurse guy in the front. I don't know why. And they were like, oh, are you new here? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, what's your name? And I'm like, my name's Nick. And they're like, oh, welcome. So glad to have you here. We're going to show you to your room now. So for the first like night to like 3 nights, you have a room on the medical unit, not like on the actual living area where all the other like patients are, all the other like inpatient residential people are, because they need to make sure you're like stable and not detoxing and you're sober and like you don't have any conditions that would like affect you staying with other people. So he showed me to this room, and luckily I get the one room that has a single bed. No one else is in it. All the other MSU rooms typically have 2 beds. So, like, there's usually 2 people to each room. I got the one on the very end that had 1 bed. So I was just like, fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah. No one else in this bitch. I don't gotta share with nobody. Because, you know, I knew that, like, I mean, I'm a pretty, like, I don't know how to word it. I'm a pretty, like, sociable, like, drug user. Like, I'm a pretty, like, normal, educated drug user, you know? Like, I'm stupid, but at the same time, I'm smart. You know what I'm saying? My fear was I was going to get put into another room with some, like, fucked up, drunk-ass dingus who had, like, an IQ of 19. I was going to have to put up with him all night. I was just like, fuck that. I'm not folding. Luckily, that didn't happen. So I get put in my room, and they're like, all right, well, you know, if you want to go to your unit and meet your peers and, you know, meet other people, you could do that, or you could just hang out in the room. So I'm like, well, who the fuck do you think I am? I'm hanging out in the fucking room. I don't give a shit about these people. So I'm sitting in the room. I have jack shit to do. I end up reading a fucking newspaper. I was so bored, I walk out of my room, and on the counter of the MSU, they have newspapers. So I just grab the day's newspaper, and I go back in, and I spent like 30 minutes just reading the fucking newspaper. Like, I was, at this point, it was the most fun I'd had. And finally, what happened was they called me out of the room and they told me to come down while they do the bag check because they wanted me to watch and, like, verify that I had all the right stuff. So they do the bag check, and this time it's a different person. This time it's some guy named Peter, and it's not Tim anymore. And Peter, he's an alright guy. He's a cool guy, but he's searching my stuff, just kind of talking to me, asking where I'm from, why I'm here, stuff like that. And, you know, he's just searching my stuff. I didn't smuggle anything in. I didn't have anything, so I didn't really give a shit. I just stood there and waited. And I had a lot of stuff. Let me tell you guys, since I was in the psych ward, I didn't get to pack for myself. So my mom actually packed for me. Overpacked hard as fuck. I had 17 pairs of socks, to give you guys an idea. Like, it was insane. I didn't even know I owned that many pairs of socks. But either way, so finally, they finish the unpack, and they're like, all right, you know, I'll help you carry your bags down to your room. So Peter comes, and they get this little, like, cartwheely thing like they have in the hotels, you know, like those little, like, things you put all your bags on and stuff. And they take one of those and put all my bags on him, and Peter's wheeling it down. I'm walking beside him. We get back down to my room on the medical unit, the MSU, and throw my bags into it. And Peter's like, all right, well, you know, have a good night. Just let me know if you need anything. And then he leaves. So at this point, I'm still like, fuck this. I don't want to go meet anyone. I don't want to go talk to anyone. I'm just booling in the room. You know, I'm booling and cooling in the room. So I'm laying there. I don't really have shit to do. Like, when I say I don't have shit to do, I mean, like, literally. I had no books with me. I had no, like, nothing. Jack shit. Didn't bring magazines. Didn't bring books. Didn't bring, like, notebook or pencil. They gave me one. But, like, I didn't bring anything. So I'm sitting in this room, just bored out of my fucking mind. And at this point, the intake took so long. We got there around 4 o'clock. The intake took like 3 to 4 hours. By the time I was in my room, it was already like 8 o'clock. So I was just like, all right, fuck this. I'm going to sleep. So I lay down and I go to sleep. I just knock the fuck out. And that was, I don't count that as my first day. That was just me getting there. I don't count that as my first day in residential because I didn't do shit. But then the next day rolls around, and that's when all the hoots begin. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to save that for part 4, which is dropping tomorrow. So hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like if you did. I will see you guys next time. Peace.